Today we rebuild Bayern Munich using the Vincent Kompany 423 one I posted yesterday. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go over and check it out, but do stick around and watch the rebuild because the tactic does drastically change towards the end when we bring in new players. And if you do want to get the rebuild file and obviously the new tactic file, you can do so by joining the Patreon in the description below. Today's challenge is to win literally everything in one season with this powerhouse over in Germany. Not had a great season this year, but hopefully with Vincent Kompany, the sky is a lot clearer. Let's get into the rebuild. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Let's go and talk about Bayern Munich. FC Bayern in the game and in real life, one of the biggest teams you could ever imagine. Unfortunately, this season Bayer Leverkusen embarrassed them, to put it bluntly. They did not have a great season, FC Bayern, and maybe Vincent Kompany will be the man, maybe he won't, only time will tell. But today, we're going to get a sneak glimpse on maybe what Bayern fans can expect. But in the game, they look absolutely ridiculous. They've got a 4.5-star reputation. They've got a 4.5-star set of training facilities, great youth facilities, and youth recruitment as well. Obviously, in terms of the bank balance, they're not shy of a bob or two, £121 million to be exact, 1.4 billion estimated value, which is absolutely ridiculous. And of course, going over to the overview, their trophies, they don't need to be talked about. I mean, 6 Champions League, 2 Club World Championships, 33 Bundesliga titles, 1 European Cup, 2 Super Cups, 1 Europa League, 20 Pokals, 2 Intercontinental Cups, 10 German Super Cups, 6 League Cups. We've got so many cups, so many trophies. It is one of the biggest teams in football. Whether you're a Bayern fan or not, you simply cannot disagree. And in terms of players, they've got some good players, all right. If you look at this right now, talent, current and experienced players. Harry Kane, their new man, the star man, the only player that potentially could go to Bayern and somehow not win a trophy. I do feel bad for him. Today, we are going to try and change that. So Harry Kane is going to be one of the real key players of this team. Musiala's another one, obviously one of the best young talents inside, sort of up there with Jude Bellingham. For me, a fantastic player in midfield. Really good if you can get him on the ball and let him do his thing. A fantastic talent. Obviously, you've got the likes of Kimmich, Sane, De Ligt, some older players in there. Manuel Neuer, obviously a real club legend. Unfortunate Champions League season for him this year, but still a world-class goalkeeper. Obviously, Kim Min-jae, Kingsley Coman. The actual players in this team, they're absolutely ridiculous. And of course, going over to the sort of youngsters that are coming up into this team, Mathys Tel is a really good example of this. 18 years of age, a real sought-after player, a player who's very versatile and should hopefully get a lot of game time up and coming in this rebuild. And I think even if we go to their second team and under 19s, which we are going to take the time to look at, obviously I've got some players with decent potential in here as well. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I know a lot of these players, but we are going to try and get them into the team. Obviously, it's not always about spend when it comes to this. So for the first season, of course, we are going to be competing in the Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Pokal, and the German Super Cup. I would be lying if I wouldn't want to win at least 2 of these in the first season, because we are going to be using the famous, the sought-after Kompany's 4-2-3-1, which I dropped literally yesterday. So for the first season, it's going to remain exactly the same as in the video, but as the seasons go on, we bring in new faces, new players. We are going to change things as Kompany would do in real life. So let's get into season number 1. Let's see what we can cook up. We're going to start things off with this Pokal final against Werder Bremen. We got off to a very good start with Goretzka. Harry Kane sticks in a penalty into the bottom left, and to make it 3-0, Sane backstick, and it is going to be Kimmich to make it 3-0. They do get a goal back. I say late on, it's only 37 minutes played and there's already 4 goals, but we win the final 3-1. Also, I'm going to win the German Super Cup, obviously at the start of the season against RB Leipzig in 5-1 fashion, and you probably guessed it, we are going to come out and we are going to win the Bundesliga. Not as good in the Champions League, so the challenge is not completed inside of Season 1. Runners up in that Champions League. We lose in the extra time against Real Madrid. I don't even want to look at that game. I hate losing Champions League finals, and I hate losing in extra time. It is worse than losing on penalties, in my opinion, because your players, their morale literally goes down here. They get nervous, they end up making mistakes. It's absolute hell. It really is. But as you can see, the Bundesliga we are going to win as well in quite dominant fashion, and it is going to be Harry Kane helping a lot in that regard. 33 goals. Gnabry 7.47, joint with Harry Kane. Kimmich and Leroy Sane first and second when it comes to the assist, and Manuel Neuer picks up 17 clean sheets out of 34 games. That is pretty incredible, if you don't mind me saying. That is pretty incredible, but a really strong season. As you can see, it's going to be the German treble, exactly what we've done in the tactic test as well. So it shows some consistency, but of course the challenge is not yet done. We want to reclaim that Champions League title, but of course the players that have done well, who hasn't done well, Harry Kane 52 goals across all competitions. I mean, that is absolutely nuts. 16 for Leroy Sane. Tillman, another Bayern youngster, had a really good season out on loan. 15 for Musiala, 14 for Koeman, Goretzka with 10. 10, 9 for De Ligt, 9 for Muller, a club legend of course, and assist-wise carried by Joshua Kimmich with 23, 17 for Leroy Sané, our right back coming in with 13, Koeman with 11, 10 for Goretzka, Gnabry with 9, 8 for Konrad Laimer, a real mixture of assists and goal scorers, which of course is the factor of any winning team, so a really good sign in terms of this rebuild, and a very strong start considering the whole point of this video is to try and win the quadruple. We've got off to a blinder of a start there by doing the treble in the first season. Who knows, we might only need one transfer window, but speaking of transfer windows, we have got £73 million to spend going into this before we decide to sell anyone. Maybe we are going to sell anyone. I can tell you something, I will not be making Eric Dyer permanent, I can tell you that for free. But in regards of this team, I mean, you look at the team, you filter by the best 11, and you just look. I mean, there's talent everywhere, players all over the gaff, and I don't want to interfere with a lot of this team. So I think what we're going to do is, unless we can really bag, for example, like a Joshdaly or a Rafael Leao, someone like that, I'm not necessarily going to focus on the first team for now, but focus on carrying on bringing in young players for the future, because again, those of you that do want to carry this on, I always like to provide you the best players for the future. So let's go in to season number 2, or the transfers. Let's see if we can spend this, what is it again, 73 million. The first player for the sort of the future, because Manuel Neuer is getting older, we are going to bring in Joshdaly coming in from Feyenoord, a very good goalkeeper, a good Bundesliga player. There wasn't a big variety of goalkeepers, to be honest, but this is a player who I think plays really above his attributes in terms of what it actually states. He's a really solid goalkeeper, only 26 years of age, £64,000 a week, and he sent me back 34 million, which for a goalkeeper who's got, what, 8 years in him minimum, it's very cheap. The best centre-backs in the game, and one I had to interfere the first 11 for, that is going to be Scalvini. He is going to be right into that team, I would imagine. A leading Bundesliga player at the age of 20, still a spirited wonder kid. We love to be seeing that. 91 to £108 million value, £160,000 a week is what I'm paying him to be at the club. He's incredibly good, 15 tackling, great position and great work rate, reasonably quick, good natural fitness, and still got time to somehow grow on being that good. He is going to set me back £70 million, but again, you've got a centre-back there for literally 12-13 years if he stays at the club. And a very unorthodox signing, and I do apologise to Atalanta for taking another one of their players, it is going to be Koopmeiners, a player I really like in real life, and a player who I don't really think he gets the credit he deserves. He's a star Bundesliga player at the age of 26, so a little bit older than obviously signing the 20-year-olds, for example, but just look at his attributes. There's so many in the yellow, so many in the high blues as well. A real strong option, £140,000 a week, and he sets me back £64 million. So yes, instalments are going to be used, but I'm trying to get this wrapped up and turn Bayern in that real German powerhouse they used to be. And with players like this, it adds to options to the midfield. Now, of course, if you're not aware, Bayern Munich have done some business before I got to the club. You can see here, we're bringing a player from Granada, and obviously this lad as well. I'll be honest, they don't look anything too special, potentially backup options, nothing I'm really too focused on, but do you know what? Respect for him for bringing in some younger players. We like to be seeing that. Again, this is a good example, 18-year-old on the wing as well. He's absolutely rapid. I will say we've had 3 players leave. Obviously, we've got Saar, Choupo-Moting, and Yotov, Union Berlin, Lazio, and I believe that is, I'm having a mind blank, Hertha Berlin, all on the free. Nothing too sad to be about that. Choupo-Moting, he's robbed a career at top clubs for absolute years. Don't know how he's done that. Saar's not the biggest loss either. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not too sure on Valentin Yotov. I'm not even sure who he is. So not really the end of the world. And it is definitely strengthened the team to this. So as you can see, we are going to have filter and buy the best 11. It might keep this actually. Here we go. So it is going to be this. Neuer, we've got Missouri, we've got Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, Davies, we've got Goretzka, Kimmich, Koeman, Musiala, Sane, and Kane. So like I said in the sort of build up to this, I'm not necessarily signing players to get into the first team right off the bat, but players who are good enough for backup or potentially going to replace some older players. So Manuel Neuer, we've got Joshdaly ready to step in when he's injured or maybe when he retires. Scalvini and Koopmeiners can get in literally any time they want. They've got the ability already. They potentially, you could argue, be in the team right now. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure they are going to get game time. I'm going to play about with the tactic a little bit before we go into the season. But before I do that, I will show you the competitions. We are playing in exactly the same. So the Bundesliga, the Champions League, the Pokal, and the Super Cup. Probably pointless looking at this, but they are predicting a finish of first place, as you would probably expect. So let's get in to season number 2. Can we win the quadruple? I hope so. I feel like we've strengthened. We've spent the money wisely. We've not really lost anyone. let's get into Season 2. So we're going to start off with that German Super Cup against RB Leipzig. Koopmeiners actually starts this game with Davies feeding it to Harry Kane inside of 32 minutes to make it 1-0. 3 minutes after that, Kingsley Coman has a run at everybody and goes alone to make it 2-0 against a very weak Leipzig defence. Credit to Leipzig, they do get back into the game with 40 minutes on the clock. A great header there from Openda to obviously make it a little bit more level as Koopmeiners finds Coman down the left-hand side, back into the middle, into Harry Kane, who hits it off the turn and still puts it in the back of the net. And we actually wrap up the final in 4-1 fashion. Sane into Kane. It's so easy. Fortunately, our luck in the Champions League was actually somewhat worse. We got knocked out in the quarterfinals against Inter Milan on penalties. This is more of one of the embarrassing situations. Knocked out in the third round of the Pokal against Nuremberg on penalties, something we do never, ever, ever want to discuss again on this channel. But to be fair, we have maintained the Bundesliga title, so it is still going to be 2 trophies, 1 less than last season. But again, we is a bit of a project. I'm not expecting to win the quadruple necessarily easily, but it is going to be a very, very convincing season in the Bundesliga. 15 points to be exact. Harry Kane top goal scorer again. 3 players in the highest average rating. 2 players in the most assist category. Manuel Neuer the most clean sheets again with 16. And I think last season might have been 17, but still regardless of that, whatever it was, a really strong season. And we are going to take both of these trophies home and obviously be very happy. But I do want to see in the third season a bit of improvement. I mean, we have got now £54 million, more than that. We're actually going to have a total of £71 million, so a very similar budget to last season to spend in that third transfer window. And going to the tactics right now and filtering by the goals, we're going to have 49 goals for Harry Kane. Sane with 17, got 17 for Kingsley Coman. Muller still contributing quite fairly, to be fair, with 14 goals and 12 assists. 10 and 10 for Goretzka. Kim Min-jae with 9 and 2. So the goals aren't really the issue. We've got obviously Harry Kane doing Harry Kane things. 49 goals to be exact. But then we've got Sane and Coman almost scoring 20 a season, and we've got a couple of other players contributing high 10s, low 9s sort of mark right there. And the assists again, we've got 5, more than that. We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 6 players with 10 plus assists. So we're not really relying on one player. So that is definitely not the issue of the team. And to be fair, in the Bundesliga, we are literally the best when it comes to goal scoring and the best when it comes to conceding. So I mean, we don't really have a weakness. We're just not putting it together in the Champions League, or in this case, in the Pokal as well. But of course, we are going to try and strengthen to go into the next season, as we always do. In terms of that, it's going to be quite difficult, I will be honest, because the team is naturally very, very good. I don't want to force anybody out, but maybe it's time to lock in players in certain roles. It could be a shout. I'm considering locking in Scalvini, although he does get in there now by the best 11 anyway. We are going to have another tinker with a tactic, maybe cater to a bit more individual player roles. Let's get into Season 3 of the transfers. We'll see where we can spend the money. If we can't spend the money, I guess we'll be rolling right into Season 3. So I've looked at the team, and the only position I'd really want better backup in and a younger option is going to be the winger. And I'm going to bring in Ez Abdi, coming in from Real Haspalis. This Moroccan offers so much. 23 years of age, you can play on the left and on the right and even up front if he needs to do so. Incredibly versatile, a real go-to player of mine. Quick on the ball, fantastic dribbling, decent finishing, not the best of the best, but of course we can work on it. A leading Bundesliga player on £94,000 a week, and he set me back only £21 million. Now for a player like that, no, I know he's not first team, but for a backup option and one for the future, that is a steal. And I've gone incredibly big now because it's a big gamble, but I genuinely believe this guy is one of the best defensive talents in world football by quite some distance. Rico Lewis comes in from Man City. You can only imagine how much I spent to get him at the club. Your eyes will literally water, but just look at him. He's got attributes in the yellow as well. He's 20 years of age. He can play a right back, left back, in midfield, all the way up technically to an advanced playmaker if you need to do so. But he is going to be playing for us in the right back position, hopefully at the left as well if you needed to do so. Just come into the team, grow under this Bayern team, grow under my management, and become the best wing back this game can physically offer. £150,000 a week, and he sent me back 82 million. But a signing from Man City is never going to be cheap, and you're signing one of the hottest prospects in world football. You are going to spend the big bucks, and hopefully he can come in. It's quite a big ask for him to come in and take me to a Champions League title, but we'll see if he can hack it. He is 20 now, right? That's old. So we'll see what he can do. But of course, going over to the rest of the transfer business, a couple more players there leaving on the free, which, you know, I don't like players going on the free, but I'd rather them, you know, be out of the club and we free up the wage budget than just rotting there and literally getting no game time. As you can see, one more player there going on the free as well. But going into Season 3, this is going to be the team now. So filtered by the best 11, it is going to be Neuer, Rico Lewis, Scalvini, Kim Min-jae, Davies, Kimmich, Goretzka, Coman, Musiala, Sane, and Harry Kane. And the bench now, and of course, it looks absolutely ridiculous. We've got Bilal, we've got Upacano, we've got Koopmeyers, Matisse Tel, Dalit, Muller, Abdi, we've got Mazzari, I said Mazzori earlier, Mazzari, we've got Nabry, Tillman, Guerrejo, Conrad Lima, Bowie, Stanisic, Pavlovic. We've got so many real good players on this bench. So pretty much everyone has got a substitute for their position. So like Neuer, of course, has Bilal. Rico Lewis has the likes of Mazzori on the bench as well. We've then got Scalvini, Kim Min-jae, we've got Upacano, we've got Dalit, we've got Alphonso Davies, we've then obviously got Guerrejo as backup, we've got Goretzka, Kimmich and Musiala as central midfield players. You've got Koopmeyers, Muller, you've got Conrad Lima, you've got players that can step in and really cover. Of course, on the wings, you've got Coman and Sane, but then you have got the likes of Matisse Tel, you've got Nabry, Tillman, Abdi, you know, there's always options, and obviously for Harry Kane, you've got several players that can also cover that position as well. So everyone has got a backup position, and of course for this third season, we are now playing in one more competition, the Bundesliga, the Club World Championship, the Champions League, the Pokal, and the German Super Cup. I would imagine they are still going to be predicting a first place finish is quite fair, to be honest. But let's go into season 3 with this new team, with Rico Lewis being the addition. Can he make all the difference? There's a lot of pressure, but let's see what he can do. We're going to start season 3 with a 6-goal Champions League final where Harry Kane gets off to a great start there inside of 8 minutes, but Man City unfortunately bounced back with 22 minutes being played with Erling Haaland, their great striker as well, coming back. But from another set piece, we are going to make it 2-1 in the 45th minute. Quite hard to keep track of the goals. Man City then make it 2-2 with Jan Couto putting the ball back in to Kovacic, of all people, gets the rebound there. And this is where we really switched on with Kingsley Coman going through the middle, driving at everyone and playing it through to Leroy Sané into the top left corner to make it 3-2. And time for one more goal here. We win it back with a bit of high pressing with Sané going alone. Champions League 1. Also, I'm going to win the Pokal in quite comfortable fashion, to be honest. I'll leave the highlights in though, because you can see a real good mixture of these goals. Really good play through the middle here from Harry Kane back into Coman, who enjoyed one fantastic season, it has to be said. 2-0 there inside of the first half. Going into the second half now with Muller driving up the back line into Sané to make it 3 inside of 52 minutes. We then look to score a penalty with Harry Kane into the bottom right hand corner with time for one more goal to wrap this up 5-0. A little bit lucky with the rebound there. Coman into Kane. They may as well not have turned up. So absolutely walk the Bundesliga, only failing to win one game, which is going to be against RB Leipzig in a 2-0 loss. Harry Kane again top goal scorer. We've got Leroy Sané and Harry Kane in the best average rating. Kimmich and Leroy Sané with the most assists. And Manuel Neuer in his last season picking up the third most amount of clean sheets. So we you know what? We absolutely battered it, didn't we? We've dominated the league every single time since we've been here. We will take it any day. And lastly, I went back and looked at the start of the season where we did play in the Super Cup, and we actually do match up against Dortmund. We go 1-0 up inside of 2 minutes being played, and you know what? From that point onwards, it looked quite convincing. Muller back into Sané to make it 2. To give credit to Dortmund, they did get a goal back, but it was a little bit too late. Very, very late onto the game. 82 minutes played to be exact. We've got to win it 2-1. And that is going to complete the actual quadruple challenge of the Bundesliga, the Pokal, the German Super Cup, and obviously the Champions League. A really strong season where we can expect to see some good stat lines here with 56 goals from Harry Kane, 31 for Sané. We've got Coman with 24, 19 for Muller, Goretzka with 18, Musiala with 10. With assist-wise, we've got 27, 23, 22, 21. That is 4 players obviously contributing 20 plus assists in one season. Then it drops down to 2 players on 16, 12 and 8. I mean, it's really, really good stuff, and I'll be very surprised if Kompany fails to win the league with this team. The team is absolutely ridiculous, and honestly, if he doesn't, there is no excuse. Same as Thomas Tuchel, there's no excuse not to win the league with a team like this, especially when you've got this man here. Harry Kane needs to actually win a trophy because he went to Bayern to get it done. He failed to in the first season. Hopefully for him, he can make it happen. Again, if you want to get the tactic and the rebuild file, you can do so on the Patreon in the description below. And also, you get all my other tactics and loads of other perks as well. If you are going to carry on this rebuild, despite having a pre-built absolute European powerhouse, you are going to have an additional 50 million, is that 55 million pounds to spend going into a 4th transfer window. So you've got a lot of money to spend. You've got a really, really strong team. I guess the challenge I set you to do is to try and win the Club World Championship, the Super Cup, the Champions League, the Bundesliga, the Pokal, and the German Super Cup. That is 6 trophies in one season. That's going to be your challenge. I'll see you in the next one.